Remember on Friday you talked about you get to the end of an investigation, something seemed small is huge. And
Correct.
we're talking about the post. All right, well, there's one thing, surveillance video. You would agree that that starts huge and remains huge? Like surveillance video is a pretty important part of a case.
Every investigation is different, but yes,
Okay. You've seen the BP video, correct?
I have.
And you've seen it, Detective Hogan showed it to you?
He did, for the purpose of identifying the individuals, yes.
Right, okay. Have you seen the FedEx surveillance video?
I have.
Okay. I'd like to watch it with you. Is that okay?
Sure.
Mr. Kokomo, if you could keep it up. Okay, before you start, Mr. Kokomo, investigator, when did you first see the FedEx video?
It was after I met with Investigator Hogan in the afternoon of the 16th, so it would have been after that.
Okay. Well, are you aware that, and maybe this will help you answer this question, you're aware that Detective Hogan swore out warrants against my client without ever viewing the FedEx video?
I can't speak to what he did or did not do.
Okay. When did you most recently watch the FedEx video?
Probably maybe like a week ago,
Okay. How many times in total have you watched the FedEx video?
a few times.
Okay. A few times. When you say a few times, how many is it?
And I've watched it a year ago, or a couple years, like 2 years ago. I've watched it.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Kokomo. Okay, Mr. Kokomo, if you could pause that video right now. Thank you. Investigator Viverito. At this point in the video, as we have it paused, you would agree that Mr. Drinks' red Versa is on the left, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You would agree that Mr. Stillwell's rented white Audi with tinted windows
Correct.
is in the middle. And you would agree that Mr. Nichols, actually Miss Lewis, Mr. Nichols' wife, that Ford Fusion is on the right, correct?
Either the right or staggered behind it, yes.
Okay. And according to your investigation, Mr. Drinks is alone in the car.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Stillwell is in the car with Mr. Garlington per your investigation.
Correct.
And Mr. In the car, the Ford Fusion, we have Mr. Nichols driving,
Correct.
Mr. Boyer,
Correct.
and Mr. Farley.
Correct.
Okay. And your theory is that while at this light, Mr. Stillwell shot Mr. Drinks. Correct?
I'm not the homicide investigator, so I'm going along with the evidence that was presented to me by homicide. But yes, that's consistent with what Detective Hogan, his case.
Well, you know, he swore out a warrant for Shannon Stillwell for actually shooting Mr. Drinks.
That's consistent with what Detective Hogan had found.
Okay. In this video, you could see headlights, correct?
Correct.
You could see traffic lights.
You can see tail lights and traffic lights, yes.
And you could see brake lights, correct?
Correct.
All right, awesome. Mr. Kokomo, could you just play the video? And I'm just going to ask you to look at the cars closely.
Mm-hmm.
pause Mr. Kokomo, please. All right, so we're paused at 1:02:36 on this video. At this point, Mr. Stillwell in the white Audi is pulled off, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and Mr. Nichols and with Mr. Boyer and Mr. Farley have pulled off.
Correct.
Okay. While they were there at that light with Mr. Drinks, did you observe any muzzle flash on that video?
No, and with this quality of video, I would not expect to see it.
Okay. Right. You just see brake lights and traffic lights and headlights, but no muzzle flash. Okay, I got you.
A muzzle flash is much, much, much dimmer than a brake light. Like if you're shooting at night, you're hard pressed to see your own muzzle flash.
Firearms expert again.
I'm telling you my experience from shooting a firearm. We do take night firing courses.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Gunshot residue. You aware that the headliner from Mr. Stillwell's car, the Audi, was collected and tested for gunshot residue?
I am.
You ever talked to Alexander GBI analyst Alexander Coven about the results that he found?
I have not.
Okay. And you are aware that warrants were taken out certainly before any of those GSR results were in, correct?
Correct.
Let's talk about tint. You've been preparing with the state. You know that the state has said that Mr. Stillwell had tint applied to his windows of that white Audi upon renting it, correct?
Correct.
In violation of the rental agreement, I may add.
Correct.
Okay. And this tint was applied on Flat Shoals Road, according to the district attorneys, at about 6:30 p.m.?
According to them, yes.
Okay. You were able to observe the white Audi on March 16th?
I did not walk. Wasn't that interested in it at that point, so I did not walk. It was very, very dark.
Have you seen the pictures that Miss Antoinette Green took of the white Audi after it was recovered when Mr. Stillwell was arrested?
I have.
Did you see any damage to the tint, specifically the front driver passenger tint on that car?
I did not.
Okay. Mr. Kokomo, if you could rewind again. No, actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Keep it here. Keep it here. Just play it. I'm sorry, Mr. Kokomo. Okay. You saw that car speed up behind Mr. Stillwell? Pause it, please. You saw
Yes.
that? Mr. Stillwell, you're aware that he, well, you've already stated this, he was victimized in the past. Someone shot through the rear windows, killing Tierra Jones.
Yes.
Okay. And now, that car that sped up is next to Mr. Drinks, correct? Or approaching Mr. Drinks?
It's approaching, but it stopped short of Mr. Drinks.
Okay. Mr. Kokomo, if you could please play it. Okay. So now there's a pause. So now there's one car next to Mr. Drinks, correct?
It's still not next to him. You could see from the angle that it looks like the front of the car. I'm sorry. The front of the car is like, from what I can see, looks like the front of the car. The front wheels are still towards the back of the vehicle. It's not like exact with the car.
Okay. Mr. Kokomo, if you could please play. See that car make a U-turn?
I do.
Okay. What car was next to Mr. Drinks when that car suddenly made a U-turn?
Judging by how the lights are, that car still appears to be back a little bit, but next to it.
All right, so now you're making three-dimensional evaluations, but we can't see a muzzle flash off this.
A muzzle.
interview.
Mr. Schardt, I'm going to explain to you. When you're, I don't know if you're mischaracterizing it. When you go to the range, example, to fire your weapons at night, and there's a line of shooters, it's not bam, 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 lights everywhere. It's a very, very muted, if it shows. So this far away with this quality of video, I would not expect to see that.
Okay, well, let's talk about this car.
Sure.
This car makes a U-turn. Did you see, is there like a train that's crossing that would have let this person know, no, I need to find another route?
No.
Is there a officer saying, hey, turn around, you can't come this way?
No.
Is there an animal crossing the road that would have made this man do a U-turn?
No.
Who is this? Whose car is this that made the U-turn?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you know if anyone ever tried to use these license plate readers to determine whose car that is so we could talk to them about why they made that sudden U-turn?
That would be part of Detective Hogan's investigation, but I do not.
Okay.